Make sure our meeting is reasonable and length. If you have more information that can be summarized in 3 minutes, please provide these on the first report's review. The moderator will ask you to conclude your remarks as time has elapsed. If you have questions during the session, you may ask for clarification from your school board member or school administrator after the meeting is adjourned. We have a motion to adopt the agenda this evening. For the motion, Mr. Brooks, or second? Second, Mr. Poole. Any comment? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. And our student liaison.
Good evening, esteemed members of the school board, school administrators, teachers, and fellow students. With the end of our summer break and the beginning of the new school year, I thought it was important to highlight the amazing opportunities that RCHS students have taken advantage of this summer. First would be Pathways Academy. Pathways is a 4-week program that aims to help students learn life skills in a hands-on environment. The Pathways program sponsors 21 students each summer, one of them being Emma Brown, who is beginning her senior year. She said, from beginning to end, each day of the program was filled with guest speakers and activities to teach us crucial life skills. She also stated, over the course of the 4 weeks, we participated in various team-building exercises. We also made valuable connections with our peers. Emma explained that in her experience at Pathways, she made incredible memories and gained an abundance of knowledge. And as a former member of Pathways Academy, I couldn't agree more. Another program that many students took part in was the Pathway program. Was the SPARK program. The SPARK program is a big camp for elementary schoolers that are seeking PEPs. High schoolers that choose to participate are paid to be counselors. Gavin now is beginning her junior year, chose to be a counselor this summer. Gavin was an assistant to one of the many workshops, and her main role is to help kids with whatever art projects they were working on. Campers could look to her for guidance when the teacher was busy with other children. She said, I definitely think that camp has helped me learn how to handle and interact with kids in general, and I've become more outgoing as a result, because at camp we are encouraged to always have a smiling face and be a person that campers can feel comfortable with. And on behalf of the students at RCHS, I would also like to welcome Dr. Boynton to our school as our principal. We look forward to having a fun and educational school year, and welcome to the Panther family.
Welcoming your principal to the school. That's wonderful. You know, are you a senior?
Yes.
You know, when I was a senior, there's no way I could have stood and done what you've just done. My heart would have been beating so fast that I would have gotten faint or something. It's wonderful that you're coming, speaking in public. Appreciate it. So you make anything for student liaison?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
And clerk, donations.
All right, so Gail has posted our donations for the month. We have a total of $1,500 in donations, two $250 donations from Rose Hill, the large animal clinic and the small animal clinic for FFA, and Gray Ghost Vineyards, $1,000 for the RCHS baseball team.
Great, we accept those donations during the consent agenda. Just so you're aware, we do send a letter of thanks to those who make donations to the school system. All right, we have the minutes from July the 9th, and then we had a special call meeting on July 29th that was related to the hiring of our high school principal only. So is there a motion to adopt the minutes from these two meetings?
Okay.
We have a motion from Ms. Bryan. Is there a second?
Sorry.
Second from Mr. Rubin. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. It's ordered. Mr. President, you have an opportunity to review bills.
I have, and everything seems to be in order. We're about 6%. Good.
We're 1 month in.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion, Mr. Grubb, is there a second?
Sorry.
Second, Mr. Rubin, all in favor, aye? Aye, opposed, no. So ordered. Dr. Gibson?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item under the superintendent reports is just an update to the school nutrition meal pricing program. As I'm sure everyone is aware by now that the high school is now eligible for free breakfast and lunches for all students every day because we are now part of the community eligibility provision. We finally met that threshold.
Does that include the salad?
Yes, it's that amazing salad bar that I have missed all summer. I cannot wait till it's back. So it does include that. Regular free breakfast, free lunch at the high school. They have second chance breakfast, so they cannot get morning breakfast and second chance. Both, they have to choose one for free. But that program is now available for our high school since the USDA updated their student participation indicator from the 40% threshold now to 25%. So now that they've done that, a lot more schools can now be eligible. All kids in our district can eat for free. It does mean that we had to do a little bit of adjustments to our adults to make sure that we can we analyze the differential that would take because the reimbursement rate is a little bit less than you would get on a traditional program for free and reduced lunch. But with the increase in participation paired with a lot of the changes we're making in school nutrition, we are confident we can make that. And it's worth it. All kids should eat and not be hungry at school. But these are the meal prices. Adult breakfast this year will be $2.73, and your adult lunch $4.63. So increase about 30 or so cents. I know that salad. This is so good. I actually get 2 meals out of that. I split it in once for lunch, once for dinner. It's great. You can't do that for $4.63. But you can you should still put money on your children's accounts because while they have free breakfast and lunch, all extras, a la carte items, ice cream, and all of those things still have a charge. So it's important to keep that up to date. Any questions? We're very excited about it. All right, the next item, back to school activities, just a very quick update. We've had a busy week and a half or so at the schools. We'll be beginning first with our teacher orientation. All those wonderful new people reported on August 1st. We went through quite a bit of training with our new teachers as part of their orientation, and a nice change this year was it was spread out over 4 days instead of the 2. Thank you, Mrs. Johnson, Dr. Johnson, for that switch. That was very nice and gave them more time in their classrooms and time to work with mentors and principals. So they seem to really appreciate that. That's the time you get to do all your hiring paperwork and your financial stuff and benefits. And they were treated to lunch through the Headwaters Foundation. Thank you, Headwaters, very much for that. And then, of course, all their technology training, time with mentors, special education, all the stuff you kind of have to do. So it is quite a whirlwind, but they were very eager participants, actually, very excited the whole time. Convocation, we had a wonderful convocation day. There was a nice breakfast time and mingle time, so if you're on our social media pages, you saw quite a bit of those photos, courtesy of Holly Jenkins, great pictures of everybody getting together. We had our keynote address, Dr. James Lane, who's the CEO of PDK International currently. Previously, he was a former Virginia State Superintendent, where I got to know him when he was helping guide all of the state superintendents through a very tumultuous time in education through COVID. And even since that, in between, he was an advisor to the U.S. Secretary of Education. So he's doing really great and a good friend. So it was awesome that he could come visit Rappahannock and give his speech. Professional development, we still have a lot going on to get ready for the school year. And these things are just sort of your requirements at the beginning of the year, just about every year, that you have to get done. So our Title IX, ALICE training modules, mandatory reporter training, culturally responsive teaching, all of these pieces that are either state required or federally required. And then on top of that, we have our state Virginia Literacy Act training and particular curriculum training for those who adopted bookworms, and they started some of that training over the summer. So there is a lot of training our teachers have to undertake this year, but we're doing our best to be as flexible as possible and give release time for that and compensation for over hours time. Meet the teacher day yesterday was really fun. Great, I put you in there so I knew you.
Yeah, I saw you take that picture.
Yeah, we had a great time. Kids were really excited. Teachers were excited. It's just so many people. I think that was one of the best attended meet teacher nights I've seen from start to finish. The buildings looked wonderful. I know the custodial staff has started a new leadership model and unified front desk at both buildings, and it's really paid off. You can tell the difference. The buildings were just immaculate at both of them. So it was really fun. So communications for back to school. You've seen a lot of the social media campaigns, I'm sure. Holly's done a great job trying to get information out to parents in a timely manner. She put together the back to school bulletin and our new staff highlights. She has the proud to be a Panther and was saying about each of them, and those have been running since orientation started. So
Those are really good.
I don't know a lot too. All right, and that's our back to school activities. It's been busy, but a lot of fun. Summer programs, well, Natalie gave you a sneak peek of that. You guys can go. See you tomorrow. And I don't have that much to add to what Natalie said. Spark was a wonderful program. In fact, we've already started planning for it next year. We surveyed everybody to try to get some feedback, have some ideas for some changes already, but overall, offering a program that was academic, summer school, recreational, fun, supportive, social, emotional, all those things every single day, full day, all summer. Every weekday was a lifesaver for so many parents and families. So thank you to Headwaters and CCLC and 4-H for partnering with us to make this a reality. The overall price tag, leveraging all our resources, was about $200,000 to pull that off. So to help us to band together to do that. So hopefully we can keep that going. Pathways Academy, Natalie gave a nice synopsis of that program. Super popular. We partnered with Rappahannock to make that happen, and then other agencies help us with the individual workshops and experiences. Summer Quest this year was Candy Quest, and Summer Quest, then, for those of you who don't know, is our summer regional governor school. So that's your middle school program. So your 5th, 6th, and 7th graders participate in that, 6th or 8th graders rather. So Candy Quest was that theme. We had some students go there over the summer. It's a 2-week program, and they have different workshops. Wait, your daughter went, Mr. Human, this year? Yeah. So they get to explore different areas in academic aptitude and the arts, and if they're into history or science or STEM. This Emerald Hill, I think it was called that. Yeah, Emerald Hill this year, which it usually is there. Yeah. So yeah, those were our big summer experiences that we were partnered on. Next item, crisis management plan. This is the time of year where you need to review the written school crisis plan, and that is part of our Virginia Code 2.2, 3705.2. Now that, of course, is an executive file, as it is confidential in nature, but the board can peruse that, and please let me know if you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions that we can bring up to our crisis management planning team. Really quickly on the cell phone policy. So this is a hot topic these days. Governor Youngkin issued Executive Order 33 to establish cell phone-free education promoting the health and safety of Virginia's K-12 students. I have a little presentation The executive order is linked, so you can read that too on board docs if you want to see it in its entirety. Basically, what that orders the departments to do is to take action and come up with guidance for school districts on how they can develop policies around this to launch by January 1st, 2025. Our CPS cell phone policy is already compliant with the essence of the executive order because I have our code of conduct here and our bus ridership rules that we've always had, and it always says to not have cell phones during instruction time. But to make that more clear, the handbook was updated with more clear consequences for not following and for violating those policies. So when you enter the building as a student and staff members, for that matter, your cell phone should be powered off and put away during class time. The only time right now that it should is allowable at the high school is during lunchtime.
Not during break.
Not during transitions, no. And our new principal at the high school has been very, very clear about her expectations for that. So there is a consequence. So this is how it works. In our handbook, students can use their cell phones before 8:20, but transitions, they're not allowing that this time. But when during class time, if you have an offense, the teacher can warn the student, and the student hopefully will say, "Oh, sorry," or good things, I forgot to shut it off. That's what we hope they say. Second offense, the teacher can report it directly to administration, whether it's a form that Dr. Boynton will have, or just says, okay, you can report it to administration. So administration then can confiscate the phone, and it's on. The phone is an ISS for the day, basically, and the student can pick it up at the end of the day. Parents are notified that that had to happen. The third offense, phone privileges are suspended for 5 days. The student phone is surrendered to the front office, pick up at the end of the day, and parents are notified to try to keep it home when it's not allowed at all. If it happens again, then they're suspended for at least 10 days, and there needs to be a conference whether or not privileges will be reinstated. So that's the system that we use.
I mean, like right now, I was just disagreeing with the teacher in one class said you're going to have work on your phone on Duolingo for Spanish, for example. So, and I know that in the end, kids use their phones for tuners usually. And I don't know if we have electronic tuners. How do we get around those?
Yeah, so in those cases, when it's for an instructional purpose in which the principal's aware and the teacher's aware, and that's already been predetermined, that's okay. But if it's something that you're not supposed to do, the teacher is not aware, of course, we'll be flexible with that. But.
So it's really just to keep people off of non-instructional cell phones. So they'll have to turn on their cell phones during Spanish class and turn it off.
Yes.
During passing time, is that the general
Yeah.
idea?
Yeah, that's the idea. If it's that important that they need to use their cell phone, they have school-issued devices they can use for certain things too. So, but if it's for an instructional purpose that the teacher is aware, has already gotten approval for, everybody, that's fine, and they're following the rules with it. But if they're not following those rules, then they can use it. And there was an infographic that was sent out about this and why it's important. A lot of mental health research behind, really trying to have breaks from screen time. Yes, this went out, the handbooks. It's not on the infographic, but the consequences did go out in the handbooks, and they went over, I know in 8th grade orientation, they were very, very clear about it with the 8th graders coming in. The handbook in their class meetings, when they provide a school, they'll have those too. I know a lot of teachers were reiterating it on their syllabi and their communications as well. So the word will get out. And of course, we're going to be, it's a change, so it's an expectation. But really, it's not that much of a change from what we've done. It's just sort of the enforcement of it. All right, 4.6, the SIP update. So our School Innovative Task Force, Finance Task Force, Panther Team 4, has been meeting over the summer, developing strategies to continue on the recommendations that the SIP team had over the last few years, really. One of which being our state advocacy efforts. that have seemed to, well, they were unsuccessful ultimately, but seemed to gain some traction in the General Assembly the last couple of years, even making it so far as getting into the governor's budget last year. It was brought up at the joint meeting in February and also throughout leading up to the summer that SIFT really needs to reconvene and start earlier and engage with politicians earlier and even explore the possibility of a lobbyist. So that is, SIFT also put together, well, with Holly's help, a lot of help, graduate the CAP infographic, which just reiterates the reason why we need to do this. It's getting more and more inequitable the more Richmond tries to do under this old antiquated formula, the funding formula, to not keep up with the mandates. They know they have to change it, but there's still so much they're trying to push through the formula. So that's one of these reasons that we're trying to urge them to graduate the CAP, because the CAP was actually put in place when next year's graduates were born. So it's been a whole life cycle of our graduates coming up. So that's where the theme came from. Like we can see similar schools to us. We have the most local effort per pupil and the lowest state per pupil effort in the entire state. So that infographic is there for you to look at, and how the CAP really affects that supplemental basic aid that we were talking about in the basic aid payments is that the CAP is an actual number that's based on the 2007 basic aid amount. So what the CAP does is it says, well, we'll give you supplemental basic aid, but the sum of your supplemental basic aid and your current basic aid can never exceed your 2007 level of basic aid. So this graph right here on your infographic kind of shows, okay, well, when they take from that one, this one levels out, so it's always kind of the level funding. So if they remove that cap, then maybe we can get a little more equalized. And you can see in comparison to Highland, who's not capped and much smaller than us, receiving a whole lot more funding with a lot fewer kids. Which is great for Highland, that's awesome, but we use some of that funding. So yeah, we're number one. In Virginia, we're receiving the least amount of state funding.
Number one.
Number one, we're number one, thank you.
By a long shot, but
We have any idea
Why? We have the,
why we have to have everybody else?
well, and it's a subsidy, and the way it's so very nuanced and complex, but basically the local composite index paired with our tax structure, ADM, all of that. We're very, very, very unique in the state. And even those who are like us, Mr. Mills, you asked me to pull that graph, and I did. So we have a pivot table that Mr. Curry actually pulled together for us on using the superintendent's annual report data. So using the state's own data to show you. And I pulled those who were about 1,000 or less ADM, and their LCI was 0.6 or above on this pivot table. And I think they're all pointing, save Charles City. And you can see even here, these counties are pretty much just like us, and we are still receiving $2,000 per student, per pupil, compared to these other ones. So we're just trying to get more of a fair, more equitable distribution.
for example, if, by the way, this is a great team that is outfitted perfectly to do the task that needs to be done, I think. I saw at our first meeting, there was, I think, 9 or 10 of us around that table. The first meeting, second meeting was 8, 7 or 8. And a great group that understands the challenge that this particular civ group is trying to take on, the task of trying to take on. So a lot of us have been running different numbers based on this pivot table to kind of say, okay, obviously something is not fair, right? And UN Richmond is all about things need to be fair. And this pivot table, which we all have access to, the same data, you can make sure you have access to the table so you can play with it for yourself if you want. But we are receiving the least amount of state funding per pupil by a large margin anywhere in the state. By a large margin, when I say that, if the caps were removed, for example, and we were to receive the uncapped funding, we'd still be, I think, the model I ran showed we'd still be like number 7 in the state as far as the least amount that we're getting from the state. So it moves us really in the middle of where our peers are that are in the 0.8 region. So it puts us in the middle instead of being so out of whack with the rest of them as far as state contribution goes. So even if we got that money, we still would not be, it's nothing flagrant of it, nothing, it's nothing that we're all of a sudden, look at us, we're really great at it from the state. No.
It would move you from 1 to 1.
We do come out of first place, but we don't go very far. We're basically, it puts us in the middle of all those that are sharing our LCI. Now, I want to make sure we're clear about it. The other thing that I was thinking about was, we do this math to show that really we're getting $700K less for this particular graduating class, but this particular model has been in place, and this limit has been in place a long time. And that money accumulates. We're not saying we want reparations for the gap that they left us for these past 18 funding cycles.
Right? It would be invested.
Yeah, but and that's not going to happen. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying make it fair now. And so that's the message we're trying to get out. But really quick with that particular team that we gather on the table, one thing I found out was, remember, I think I said a couple months ago, I'm not the right guy to convince the General Assembly, right? Well, I found out real quick. I know nothing about that dynamic. But this group of people knows what it takes to influence that group of people so that it will change their minds. So that's why we started this. There were 3 strategies that we took on. One was to find a lobbyist that could be at work for us with the right folks, saying the right things at the right time, and someone that's their profession. And how do we find the right person? So we took that on as one of the forks. The second was to create a video, which I think is kind of taking a back seat, but it's still part of the plan. And the video is some kind of a 3 to 5 minute YouTube, hey, watch this kind of thing. So yeah, we do have some ideas there as a SIP team, but still making progress. What was the third?
To engage early with our.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of the things that we're trying to do start next month.
Yes.
And if we don't catch this window of September as our start to get work in General Assembly, then we're going to be another year before, so we'll miss the window. So, so to get this kicked off, there was an interview team that came from the SIP team that interviewed lobbyists, candidates, and chose one. And Headwaters is taking the fiscal or fiduciary lead in this entire effort, which we're grateful for, which we couldn't do without, by the way. So a lot has been going. SIP Team 4 has been very busy, much, and a lot of the gist of it is it's going to take money to get this money. So I'm going to kick it back to you until you go further.
It's an investment now.
Yeah.
So just talk about process, because like Mr. Nelson said, I'm an educator, I'm not really into politics. I don't know that world. And talking to lobbyists, I realized just how much I don't really know about how that works. So we did have a list of 4 initially. We engaged with those who represent us and kind of talk strategy a little. Who's reputable? Who do they recommend? both sides of the aisle, bipartisan, and talked through some strategies. Interviewed two of the finalists and came up with one who's outstanding and really did their homework. Troutman Strategies is who we chose at the end of the day and gave us an engagement letter that showed us the initial phase one would be $20,000 from the pre-work to December, and what that would encompass. And like I said, this woman who represents Troutman Strategies is based in Richmond, even though it's a national company, but she had already watched all of our previous videos when the bill was pitched. What did they all say? She already talked to staffers, had a really good strategy moving forward, and actually, it looked pretty optimistic that if we do this and do it quickly, that we have a good shot. So that's where we were. The team was unanimous on that vote. So we would like to hire her. The hard part is it will take the initial $20,000 to get started. I know the supervisors have a special called meeting on Monday, and this is an agenda item with a resolution just like you have as well to work together. The board of supervisors, chair, and county administrator are also on the SIP and the team for, so that helps us speak the same language and we're moving in the same direction. So I believe there is the same sentiment that was brought up in the joint meeting that yes, we need to hire a lobbyist. I think having Headwaters as a fiscal agent and to help us launch a fundraising campaign for phase two. Phase two starts in December, and for the actual session, if things look favorable. So it's a go, no go sort of thing. If we don't make the headway we think we will in phase one, then it's not worth paying the $30,000 and trying to push it anyway into the session. So $30,000 for phase two when everything is hidden in sessions, all of the committee meetings, all of your comp3 meetings you have to have, and even setting up a lobby day with our local residents to go down and all of that she can help us with. So yeah, I'm very excited to work with her. So it might be worth the board discussing an amount that you may want to put toward that initial $20,000, and the board of supervisors could think about whatever's left. Probably half and half would be a good split to show unification around it. I will tell you that makes me really nervous generally this early in the fiscal year because I don't know what's going to come up, and we did not budget for that. However, I did receive a grant from Mental Health Services that does allow me to move something for staffing out of the instruction line, so I would be comfortable with 10. I'm probably not more than that. At the end of the day, it is all the same bottom line. But
Well, I think action items, we don't have the.
this is not under action items, but it will take a motion if you want to move this forward tonight. You can make a motion here. Yes.
We would have to make a motion regarding this resolution, and the motion could, within itself, say that we're going to back phase one for $10,000 or whatever the board decides.
I mean, I wouldn't be as comfortable with the 10, considering that I think I would first start with something lower than 10 for us as a board, because we're very fixed in our income. And it all comes from the supervisors. I don't know what. I mean, it's not. It's all the supervisors, not even kind of. So.
It is.
So I don't know.
I mean, to me, it seems to me that it showed them that we did. I don't know if we should call it a windfall, but this grant money that came in is wonderful, and it gives us a little flexibility to say, hey, we're going to scrape this out of our instructional budget.
With the grant offset
to
that
help.
can.
Yes.
It will at least some of that, and it's hard right now because one special education placement or something can pop up where I would go to the board of supervisors anyway and ask for coverage. So it's all the same pot,
Yes,
really.
it is.
But it's a show of unification
Yeah.
between boards, really, is what that amounts to. Yeah.
I just had a question about the infographic. I don't know when is the time to talk about that.
We should.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah. I just really, I get confused when I think of graduation as like a thing that happens in a short amount of time and it's a positive thing and they're really happy with this path, which is not the case. I just don't know if the metaphor necessarily works for me, but, and I think the second page of the infographic, when it talks about this relic thing that's been around since 2007, I would say we're more like asking to retire the cap or lift the cap because it's been around for a long time. And it's not been a positive thing ever. It's not been a positive presence in our younger school community that I know of. And I think it's as if we're trying to kick our students out, getting them out the door, but it's not when we love to be with our students. It just feels like it looks kind of good initially, but I don't like the metaphor that much because it doesn't. I would lead it with the fact that we've been fixed in this minor situation since the financial recession of 2007. And the cap was added because of that financial recession. And according to our visit, Ms. Ritter and I went to Richmond to talk about this, and they really recognize this as, there are all these caps that were put on, all these freezes that were put on at that time. This is just another relic of those freezes. That was what we heard from multiple.
Very few that was not.
And I just would like it to be, when you have a minute, those sort of, I've been to Richmond talking to people, when you have that minute elevator conversation, that is a strong way to start, I think, because of the equity piece and because of the, it's not as cute, but I think that it would be more accurate, and I do think that these are really, like, they did it right away.
Absolutely, and that's good. That's a great point, Rachel. And they did say that the lobbyist has some messaging, consulting tips for us too before we release anything.
Yeah.
So we'll all run through, if we hire her, run through that first, and the messaging and how that has to work, what the letters have to say, when they have to go out, who you talk to, which staff. All of that is very detailed. So I agree with you that whatever the messaging needs to be to affect that.
So, our perspective is we've never welcomed this cap. We lived with it from when recession happened, and it's just stuck with us. It's like an albatross on our back. That's not like a kid got a further cap on. That's the only thing. It's all great data, great work. And I totally support those resolutions.
Yeah, good point. Good feedback.
Someone else? What do you think? Well, I want to make sure everybody's had an opportunity to say that they're thinking or comfortable with if we chose 10K. Whether you're comfortable with that as a board, if we move forward. Genuinely, we know it's not. It's money coming out of our, taking that out of the pie, basically. We do have grant money that we're expecting as supplemental, so it's not going to put us in a bind fully. And if it does, we're all drinking from the same water hole anyway.
Exactly.
It's not.
So it really is.
Yes.
Just you're in this with you. And you're right, it's going to take money to make money in this situation, so
It's an investment.
it's an investment to try and get this around the corner. The resolution, I typically try to read these so that we all know what we're adopting here. It's a lot of words. But should I?
Yes.
I shouldn't I? You just want to hear me talk.
I'll have another book.
Okay, resolution affirming the work of the School and Innovative Finance Task Force and Team 4 and endorsing the recommendations for engaging a lobbyist to advocate for the increased funding for Rappahannock County Public Schools. Whereas the Rappahannock County School Board is committed in securing the necessary funds to support and enhance the quality of education for all students within Rappahannock County Public Schools. And whereas the School Innovative Finance Task Force, Panther Team 4, formed by the RCPS Superintendent Dr. Shannon Ramsey and County Administrator Dr. Mary Pruitt, has diligently researched and reviewed potential strategies to advocate for increased financial support, including the engagement of a professional lobbyist. And whereas Panther Team 4 conducted a thorough review of 4 lobbying firms, including 2 finalists, and ultimately recommended the selection of Tropic Pepper Strategies, represented by Elizabeth Parker, based on their strategic approach to early engagement with key stakeholders in Richmond. And whereas Elizabeth Parker and her team at Tropic Pepper Strategies have presented a strategic plan to begin lobbying efforts at the end of the summer prior to the General Assembly session, focusing on engaging key conferees, staffers, committees, and providing consulting support for local advocates to gain support for a bill that will provide additional supplemental basic aid to Rappahannock County Public Schools. And whereas Headwaters Foundation has been proposed and is willing to serve as a fiscal agent and contracting agency for the lobbyist. And whereas the initial $20,000 fee for phase 1 of this strategy, of this strategic lobbying effort spanning from September 1, 2024 to December 1, 2024, will be covered collaboratively by Rappahannock County School Board and Rappahannock County Board of Supervisors. And whereas should the political landscape prove favorable to continue the lobbying initiative during the 2025 General Assembly session, which is January 1, 2025 to March 31, 2025, the second $30,000 phase of lobbying efforts will be funded by the Headwaters Foundation fundraising campaign that will supplement otherwise necessary local government dollars. Now therefore be it resolved that the Rappahannock County School Board hereby affirms the diligent work of the SIF team forward and endorses their recommendation to engage Tropic Pepper Strategies under the leadership of Elizabeth Parker to advocate for increased funding for Rappahannock County schools. And be it further resolved that the Rappahannock County School Board supports Headwaters Foundation as the fiscal agent and contracting agency for this effort and encourages the collaboration between the school board and the Rappahannock County School Board of Supervisors to cover the initial lobbying fee, with the understanding that additional funds will be sought through a targeted fundraising campaign in combination with local government funds to support continued advocacy efforts. Adopted this 13th day of August 2024 by the Rappahannock County School Board, to which I'll be signing, and Dr. Grooms will be signing, and our clerk will be attesting. And then on Monday, our supervisors will likely do similar. They understand it to also be an investment. So if we have that resolution, and if the motion would adopt the resolution and provide $10,000 of school board funds toward phase 1, I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
A motion, Mr. Root.
Second.
Second, Mr. Grove. Any other discussion tonight? You know, at some point, it'd be good to get a list of all the participants in SIF Team 4, because that's the power team. Good team. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Grimsley. And Holly, thanks for all the work. It's a lot of work. And I know you had help. I know. But it's nice to pull it together. Is there a report from our headquarters representative?
Yeah. So after school registration is ongoing until August 23rd, and the program will start on August 27th and runs Tuesday to Thursday afternoons. There are activities, a lot of different activity choices. One is STEM, one is agriculture using the new chicken coop that we learned about earlier. It's fun. And martial arts and totality, which is ongoing, dance, and the sports club. The READ program also will be concurrent with after school again, and 7th graders will have the opportunity this year to be mentors in the program. And Headwaters, as we said, provided lunch for new teachers and introduced many programs that they offer, highlighting especially the availability of educational enrichment grants for teachers. And mark your calendars for the Harvest Festival and Student Showcase, which is going to be here on October 5th from 11 to 5 at the elementary school, all throughout the school, I think. Should be a big fun.
11 to 5.
Yeah, 11 to 5 on October 5th. That's what it said on the website.
Great.
Yeah, it's very
Where did the chicken coop end up? Do you know where it ended up being planted? Not planted, but where did
I
it?
don't know, I thought they were going to put it back.
There was, we had several discussions, either it's the back here, we also talked about something in the high school in that area.
Oh, in the greenhouse.
I think greenhouse area.
I think that was for incubating.
Oh, it was in there.
After they
Yeah,
Right,
they
right.
was that is an incubating place rather than indoor.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah, it's,
You know, one thing I was telling Dr. Boydman was, one thing that I think she'll enjoy is the agility of our school division. And the chicken house is a good example of agility, right? We come together, thinks we have a good idea, we implement the idea, and boom, it just happens, right? So I hope it turns out to be a great thing. So I'm sure they will love it. All right, anything else? Now, just look.
Yes, we meet, day after tomorrow. And we had a good opening, everybody showed up. We have a new director, that's a good thing.
Ladonna Gorham.
Right.
Is that what is it?
Ladonna Gorham.
Madonna, L-A-D-O. She's, was previously, public, somewhat similar to Dr. Palmier.
For a long time, she's run the gifted programming and foreign language programs in Fauquier County as an administrator, central office. But she was there at the inception of, and served on the academic advisory team for many, many years, not just since it started. And also, she was one of the creators of our Summer Quest program.
She's good. That's her, that's for sure. Especially in such short notice. So anyway, we'll meet with this coming Thursday, we'll figure out
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Right, the next thing is we need to let Ms. Check, I know if we're planning on going to the annual convention in Williamsburg. And it's, the dates are listed there for you, so if you could just independently let her know, so she can plan accordingly. Are we involved? Is our year?
It's not this year. It's gotta be next year, we gotta be up soon.
What are the dates?
The dates are the 20th through the 22nd of October. November, I'm sorry.
November.
November 2020.
Right.
22. And we usually just go with one day.
We usually go on Thursday.
Right.
I'll be
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah, if you could let Gail know, check your calendars as soon as possible.
score.
They fill up pretty quickly, so if you can let her know this week, that'd be great.
November 21.
20th, 22nd, so the Thursday would be 21, yeah.
21.
And if you wanted to come forward with more of that, you need to let us know about lodging.
All right, the next thing on the agenda is norms and protocols. So during our last retreat, we've been reviewing and updating this, and so the board is very familiar with this document. The public might not be. It's considered to read it. It's how we behave ourselves. So you might say, I need to read that thing and see if they're behaving themselves. And it's a good thing to have somebody to check to make sure we're behaving ourselves. So anyway, we as a group will vote tonight to adopt norms and protocols that we created ourselves. We will pat ourselves on the back. Sure. Is there any comment about that? Good job. All right, is anyone from the public that would like to address the board this evening?
I am Steph Miller, and I'm from the Wakefield District. I wanted to echo Dr. Grimsley's review of the SPARK program. It was fantastic. There were so many kids that were served, and I got to do a call out to Jimmy Capsa, who was utterly amazing. I don't know how she organized that number of camps and kids and without any flaw. I mean, really, totally amazing. Of course, I'd also like to call out Lacey Jenkins, who is the headquarters special. And also, I want to thank you guys for putting some money into this lobbies. As Rachel, Shannon, Wes, and I all know, we've all gone down to the legislature. We're all a day too late, or we don't know who the right people are to speak to. And it's just, you know, you have to do this professionally. It's such a ridiculous piece of legislation. You know, it was put on in 2007 as a consequence of the recession, and it's one of the very few caps that has not been removed. And the only school district that really hurts is us. And trying to explain this over and over and over again and not getting through is really discouraging. So, the lobbies that we spoke with is upbeat, energetic. She seems to have already, she knows who she's going to talk to and how she's going to get it done. And it's really heartening. We talked to one who said, forget, basically. You know, you guys have no hope. But this particular lobbyist, I think, is really, if we think we can do it this year, we're going to find it out what we want to become and get that. And also really glad you put some money in because in talking to the board of supervisors, a couple of them mentioned, school board needs to put some money, even though it does seem to be a little tautological because, of course, it goes round and round and round, but never mind. I think it's a great idea, and hopefully they'll pass the rest of the funds, and then onward with headwaters and fundraising. And this year we can get it done. Thank you guys for everything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, and thank you, Holly. I mean, it maybe won't change, but you can't. This is so much information. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the court seat? Right, moving on to the action items. Motion to approve the meal pricing for 24-25. Motion, Mr. Rhodes, is there a second? Second. Mr. Cool, any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. For or disagree, is there a ballot for All right. Motion to approve the updated norms and protocols. Is there a motion to do so? You're going to do it?
Yes.
Mr. Cool made the motion. Is there a second? Second. Second, Mr. Grove. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. So, is there any new business?
I just wanted to say that we had some great volunteers that through yesterday and today in the courtyard, all the way from Israel, who were here on an exchange program. I have a friend who recently moved to the county. It's like, I want to do something impactful with these boys from Israel, and they came. So they enjoyed coming along with the headquarters executive director to do some eating in the courtyard and to really reveal our Mindful Days labyrinth area, which they got to walk with a few kids too. They like doing. They like what I'd like to share is that when they were setting up for back to school, and they came out and these twins were like, "What's going on? It's like a party's happening here." And they started talking with Lacey outside, and she was like, "What has been your favorite part of being in America?" He said, "This school is my favorite thing." And they've been in America for 3 weeks and like went to the state, been to some big fair and all this. And they came again today to volunteer for a couple more hours. So just like the energy in the school was internationally appealing, and it will definitely make an impact. Yeah, so So we have a real gem, and they said, you know, they have a good reputation for good schools where they're from. And we said, gosh, they were impressed and really thought this was a gem of a place.
That's a great story.
Yeah. They came today to the they're ready to move in. We're going to make them move their families to Rappahannock. Just, I think it's really good. It's a good testimony to our schools and the welcoming. But Brian Holder put out there too. And it was all a good feeling. Yeah. That's her business. Something for us to know.
Is there any requests for future agenda items?
It's first request, but it's to see where we are with our solar project. We have a clue.
Well, we were doing, last I recall, whatever we ended up doing in the high school, that area,
Right.
we're gonna try to integrate a subsystem just for educational purposes. Is the next step, right?
Correct.
So that's probably still on the radar.
It's definitely on the radar, and there have been plans gone out and requests for proposals on certain aspects of the work. So we're working on that part. So it's still the case.
Right. Our next regularly scheduled school board meeting is September 10th. We hope to be in the library at the high school. Minor mishap. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I move to close session, discuss and consider the appointment of staff, professional positions, classified positions, coaching positions, designations of professional positions, classified positions, and discussion of superintendent's goals pursuant to Virginia Code, section 2.2-3711A1.
Motion, Mr. Rhodes, is there a second? Second, Mr. Reed, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. We're going to be in the little room in the hall for how long? 10 minutes, 15 minutes? 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and brief you out. And, right. Have a cookie. These don't make Gail take all these cookies.
They're-
Yeah.